From Arkansas's #1 trusted source for weather. This is a severe weather alert.
Alrighty, good morning Arkansas. This is Chief Forecaster Cameron back here once again. We're going to give you guys a live update going over these storms coming into northwestern Arkansas at this current time. As you can see, the considerable damage tag is in place and also the destructive tag in place as well. So let's go ahead and talk to you guys about the details regarding this severe thunderstorm warning with the destructive tag. But first, before I do that, there's a list of cities that's going to be impacted. We've got Harrison coming in within the next 5 minutes. We've got Marshall and we've got Mountain Home coming in right around at 12:35, 12:40 time frame here. Okay, so the considerable damage tag severe thunderstorm warning is going to go for 80-mile-per-hour winds, and it's going to go for the following: Searcy County, Newton County, Marion County, Boone County, and also central Baxter County until 1 o'clock in the morning. Severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from near Diamond City to near Kingston, moving southeast at about 55 miles per hour here, guys. So if you know anyone in the path of these storms coming up, that's Marshall, that's the Mount Home area, tell them to get away from windows. Kind of treat this, if you would, like a tornado warning, because we've had a lot of reports in southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, power outages, and also trees being brought down across the area here. So treat this like you would a tornado warning. It's 80-mile-per-hour winds coming in, which is equivalent, by the way, to a weak tornado. So keep that in mind. That's going to go for our folks in Harrison. That's Mount Home over towards the Marshall area at this point. As you guys know, there's a severe thunderstorm watch going until 2 o'clock this morning here. That's going to go for much of northwestern and north central Arkansas. For our folks in central Arkansas, that's kind of watching and waiting and see if this is actually going to make it. Right now, let's see what happens. The later we get into the overnight hours, the less the daytime heating we'll have in place, and we'll have to see if this line can actually make it that far south. But right now, we're pretty concerned for our folks up here in north central Arkansas at this current time here. So to repeat, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning with the destructive tag on it. That is going to go for 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's for Searcy County, Newton County, Marion County, Boone County, and also central Baxter County until 1 o'clock this morning here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the track off for just a little bit. Let's take a look at these storms here. So you can see, like I mentioned before, you've got these storms coming into the Harrison area right now, into Diamond City. Also, it's getting ready to move into the Western Grove area, the Jasper area, over towards Yellville, over towards Oakland over here. So these storms are going to continue to move off towards the southeast at almost 60 miles per hour. So if you know anyone in the direction of these storms here, give them a heads up. I do realize it's after midnight. It's a Sunday night. Everybody's got to go to work first thing in the morning. Give them that heads up. 80-mile-per-hour winds are incoming towards these areas here, okay? So that's going to go for the Western Grove area, towards Mount Home, also towards Marshall at this current time here. So what we're going to do, let's take a look. And like I said before, I'm not really too concerned about the tornado threat, but I'm very concerned about the high wind potential here with these storms here. Now, keep this in mind. This is up here in northwestern Arkansas, so you only have Fort Smith, you have Springfield, and also you have Little Rock. So this is kind of what we call a radar lost zone up here, kind of stationed between 3 different radars. So data out here is going to be a little bit difficult, but you can see over here towards Harrison, that's what's associated with these severe thunderstorms. The brighter the reds are, you can start to see that yellow, the stronger the winds are within these severe thunderstorms, okay? So you can see easily over 60-mile-per-hour winds. You can see some higher wind totals over here towards 70 miles per hour as they continue to move off towards the south and east here. Like I mentioned before, these storms are right on the edge of Springfield's radar, so this data may not be as accurate as it normally would if it was a little closer to the radar, so just kind of keep that in mind. But like I said before, the Harrison area, the Jasper area, we're going to have to watch that close over towards Marshall, over towards the Big Flat area, and also the Mount Home. These storms are going to be coming in within the next 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes at this point. We now have over, thank you Rich for this, we now have 2,200 customers without power. Some of them is associated with the storms we had earlier on coming across northern Arkansas down into portions of central, but we are starting to see some totals start to go up in far northwestern Arkansas near the Benton County area from those storms that were coming in just about an hour ago here, guys. So to repeat, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning with the destructive tag on it. That's going to go for much of the area. That's for Searcy, Newton, Marion, over towards Boone, and also Baxter counties here. So give them a heads heads up. It's after midnight. Everybody's got to get up first thing tomorrow morning. Just giving that heads up to say, hey, we've got 80-mile-per-hour winds coming in at this point. So let's zoom this out to kind of get a perspective on this entire what's called an MCS, or a mesoscale complex system here. So basically, this is, layman's terms, a complex of severe thunderstorms moving out of southwestern Missouri, coming into northwestern Arkansas, north central Arkansas here. Now, on a trajectory that it is going, this will likely miss central Arkansas. However, from my Mountain View area, the Heber Springs area, over towards Jonesboro, keep an eye on these storms as we progress within the overnight hours. We will have to kind of tweak our timing map a little bit just to kind of account for these storms moving a little bit to the east instead of just due southeast at this point here. But we'll have to keep an eye on it, like I said before, as we get later into the overnight hours, less daytime heating. Also, the less of the instability you'll have in place, it will start to weaken over time, but when does it weaken will be the question as we progress within the rest of your overnight hours and the first part of your Monday morning here. Regardless of the severe thunderstorms, 80-mile-per-hour winds, the heavy rainfall behind it is very welcome for our folks up here in northern Arkansas. As like I said before, we're dealing with a drought up here in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri here. So this is welcome rainfall. However, we'll have to deal with the 80-mile-per-hour winds coming in with these storms here. So let's go ahead and zoom this back down. What I'm going to do for just a moment, because I know we have some viewers in at this moment that's probably trying to figure out the counties. So we're going to turn the counties on so you guys can kind of see where these storms are actually impacting specific counties here. So this is now coming into Boone County, Newton County, and also going to be coming into Marion County within the next 5 to 15 minutes. So like I said, it's after midnight. A lot of people are coming in. You know, they probably don't even know there's storms going on tonight. This was kind of one of the last second things with computer model data. We were kind of watching it close, kind of see what was getting ready to happen with these storms here. And they did eventually move through Missouri, and we kept that same strength all the way down into northwestern Arkansas here. So this is what we've got at this point. But like I said before, Newton County over towards the Marion County area, is coming through Boone County right now. And if you're in Harrison, it is loud. We're talking about 70 to 80 mile per hour winds moving in right now. Heavy rainfall, frequent cloud to ground lightning ongoing with these storms here as they continue to move out towards the east and the southeast here. Okay, so Marshall, Mount Home, it's going to be on your doorstep within the next 20 to 30 minutes here. So give those folks a heads up. I know it's after midnight. They're probably going to be like, okay, we'll watch it. Get them up, because this is 80 mile per hour winds. This is not your normal severe thunderstorm warning. This is a destructive tag severe thunderstorm warning at this point. 650 power outages were for South Arkansas. Checked before the storms came. Okay, so the majority of those now are going to go for Benton and Carroll County up there in northwestern Arkansas. So I appreciate you, Rich, for giving me that information regarding the power outages at this point. So we're going to continue to monitor these storms. I know a lot of people are probably coming in trying to figure out if this is a tornado threat or anything like that. We don't go live for just tornado warnings. We go live for severe thunderstorm warnings, especially those that have the destructive tag on it here. So right now, what I'm concerned about is 80 mile per hour winds. You know, you're in late July. It's going to be very, very difficult to get a solid tornado threat, but you can get one of these, what we call these MCSs, to move through across Missouri and northwestern Arkansas, and that's where you get these 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, the power outages, and also the trees down here. So in any one of these areas, you kind of want to treat it as if it were a tornado warning, because you are dealing with 80 mile per hour winds as they continue to move out towards the east and southeast here. So what we're going to do for just a moment is I'm going to get a track of these storms here. That's the storms coming out of southern Missouri. Let's go for the entire line of storms here, stretching all the way back to Washington County, and we're going to move it southeast. I'll clock it at about 50 miles per hour here, okay? So Jasper, within the next 8 minutes. Western Grove, right around the next 10 to 11 minutes, so somewhere around that region. Bull Shores, right around 12:35, not 12:35. Also towards Yellville, around 12:38. Lakeview, right around 12:39. Also towards Mount Home, right around that 12:49 range. And also the Leslie area, right around that 1:07 time frame, first thing this morning. So it's going to continue to move out towards the east, southeast, going to Newton County, also going into Marion County, also Baxter, and even potential Stone County and northern Van Buren County. Like I mentioned before, folks that are kind of on the outer edge of this track, you're kind of like, okay, are we even expecting storms tonight across the area? And we are, especially for our folks up here in northern Arkansas. Elsewhere across the state, we had some storms earlier on in central Arkansas. those storms have died off. We're not really expecting those storms to get going down here in central Arkansas, but I will keep an eye probably from the Mount Home area all the way down to the Heber Springs area, all the way down to Searcy, over towards Batesville and the Jonesboro area. That north central, northeastern Arkansas corridor is probably where you're going to see this line go through as we go into the rest of your overnight hours and the first part of your Monday morning. Because what's going on, I can kind of show you on what's going on with this. You have a ridge that's beginning to build in across Texas and Oklahoma. This is going to be responsible for bringing temperatures 105 plus as we get towards Wednesday and Thursday. Well, what's going on here is much of north central and northeastern Arkansas is what's called northwest flow. And that's kind of where these storms have been tracking throughout the day. We've had storms coming out of southeastern Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, kind of spreading into northern Arkansas, down in portions of central Arkansas at this point. But this is what the kind of the track is following, riding along that edge of the heat ridge that's just to our south and west. And that ridge will be building in as we get towards that Wednesday and into the Thursday time frame here of your upcoming week, with temperatures, like I mentioned before, 105 plus across the area here. So this is what we got at this point. Just kind of double checking everything right now. Rich, if you hear anything, let me know in terms of damage reports or anything like that. Let me see real quickly here. We don't have any damage reports coming in into the Weather Center at this point. Also, keep in mind that this is midnight and we don't have any chasers. We don't have a lot of people out. Most people are still asleep and everything like that. So we don't have any damage reports coming in yet in Arkansas. I do believe probably out of the Carroll County, the Benton County area over towards Boone County, once we get emergency management up there and everything, we'll probably start racking up some power outages up there, or maybe some tree damage with these storms, because they did pack a serious punch coming into northwestern Arkansas here, guys. So like I mentioned before, Jasper, you've got about 6 minutes. Give them the heads up. Say, hey, if you know somebody that's sleeping next to a window or sleeping next to like the exterior walls of your homes, give them that heads up. Say, hey, this is what we've got across the board. You have to watch this closely as we continue to move on towards the overnight hours and the first part of your Monday morning here, okay? So we've got Mount Home around 12:50 this morning here, and then it's going to continue to move out towards the east and the southeast here towards the Clinton County, the Clinton area, the Heber Springs area, Mountain View, over towards Batesville at this current point here. So the destructive tag still remains. It's going to go into 1 o'clock this morning here. It's going to go for 80-mile-per-hour winds across northern Arkansas. And right now, like I mentioned before, we don't have much in terms of reports or anything like that, which is great news. But like I mentioned before, sometimes these reports can be a little bit delayed coming into the Weather Center, so have to keep an eye on that. I think we'll probably start seeing some coming in across Carroll and also Boone counties once these storms kind of clear out and they kind of get out and see what happened across the area here. Regardless, these storms, once they get through, we got a pretty solid amount of rain coming in across northern Arkansas. And I mean, boy, they need the rain up there. I'm afraid what's going to happen is, yes, the rainfall is very beneficial, but like I mentioned before, you're going to be dealing with a pretty decent heat wave coming up right at Wednesday and Thursday time frame. So what it's going to do is going to leave that moisture in the ground. It's going to lead to your heat index temperatures probably about 110 to 115 as we get into the middle and late part of your work week here. So this is kind of like a double-edged sword. We need the rainfall, but it's coming in at the worst time possible across the area here. So we now have a new update. There's a track of that real fast. Let me double check, make sure. Severe thunderstorm is located along the line, extending from near Diamond City to Kingston, moving southeast at about 55 miles per hour. These are destructive storms for Harrison and Jasper. 80-mile-per-hour winds, radar indicated. Moving into Harrison, it's already moved through the Harrison area. We've got Mount Home. We also got Jasper, Lakeview in Baxter County, also Diamond City, also Sellersville, also Western Grove over here as well. So this is a dangerous situation. These storms are producing widespread wind damage across northwestern Arkansas. Seek shelter now instead of a sturdy shelter and stay away from windows here. So Lee Hill's out of power, Bergman's out of power, and unconfirmed share reports at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if these ended up becoming confirmed, because like I mentioned before, you had 70 to 80 mile per hour winds move through across the area here. So I appreciate you, Rich, for keeping me updated on the power outage situation right now here. But like I said before, in the warning itself, these storms are producing widespread wind damage across northern Arkansas here. So this was kind of a last-second surprise with the storms coming in out of northwestern Missouri, down to central Missouri, down into southern and southwestern Missouri, and northwestern Arkansas at this point here. So let's continue to take a look at this. Let's take a look at the, give me just 1 second here, and it's going to be this. All right, so let's take a look at your wind gust potential here. First of all, lots of lightning with these storms here. You're talking a little bit over 100 lightning strikes per second. So lots of lightning going on with these storms right now. It's very loud going into Carroll, into Boone counties here. Got winds. I think these winds are a little bit underdone because, like I said before, you're kind of on the edge of the Springfield's radar right now. So I may have to switch this over to Little Rock here in just a little bit. What we're going to do, we're going to switch this over to this. Let's take a look at this real quickly here. So it's got winds about 55 to 60 miles per hour. I don't buy that because, like I mentioned before, the problem is your radar is way in southwestern Missouri. You're kind of on that edge of the radar right now here. So I'm going to switch this over to, I think Fort Smith will probably be your best bet. So I'm going to switch this over to Fort Smith real quickly here. Give me just 1 second. We're going to switch it over to Fort Smith. And we're going to get this up because Fort Smith is kind of right there on the edge. Same thing with Springfield's radar. Same thing with Little Rock's radar. You guys really need a radar up there in north central Arkansas. But let's take a look at this. Like I said before, there's a line of storms coming in. I say wind gusts right now. Let's see if I can pull up on my other radar real quickly here. It's going to be behind me. Let's take a look at the, give me just 1 second. All right, so we're going to take a look at this. Like I said before, this is wind gusts about, give me just 1 second. It's going to be right there. Okay. So we've got wind gusts about 65 to 70 mile per hour winds with these storms here. I had to switch over to the other radar for just a moment here. But yeah, you've got wind gusts about 65 to 70 mile per hour winds moving through the Newton County area, also in the Marion County at this point. It's going to be moving into Searcy County for too much longer here. So we're going to switch this back over to reflectivity here. Let's go back over to this. And like I mentioned before, there's a lot of storms coming in. I switched this over to the Fort Smith radar, kind of give you a little bit of perspective of where these storms going. And they're going to be moving towards the Marshall area and the Mount Home area as time progresses here. So keep that in mind. You have to watch these closely as it continues to move out towards the east and the southeast here, guys. So the structure tag downgraded to considerable now. So that's good news with these storms here. Like I mentioned before, as we progress into the overnight hours, first part of your Monday morning, what's going to end up happening is these storms are going to start to weaken. This is typical of what happens in late July, early August. We get one of these, what's called these MCSs, that comes out of Kansas and Missouri, really starts to get going, and then by the time it gets in the overnight hours and the first part of your morning hours, which is technically your coolest part of the day, they start to weaken off. And also, if you can see this, and I'm going to draw this out to kind of put a lot of minds to ease about the tornado threat, there's what we call an outflow boundary setting up just like this. Now, give you a little bit of a weather lesson here. If you have storms behind the outflow boundary, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a tornado. You're not going to get a tornado threat out of these storms. They're going to be mainly damaging wind threats. So I kind of want to put a lot of minds to ease because I know a lot of people coming in at midnight, they're probably thinking we have some sort of tornado warning or something like that. We do go live with severe thunderstorm warnings now, so keep that in mind. But I wanted to kind of ease you guys' tensions going on because this is what we've got. We got that outflow boundary just to the east of these storms here. So what's going on is these storms are forming behind the outflow boundary, and then you're getting mainly a wind threat instead of a tornado threat with this here. First and second thing is late July, early August is not really favorable for tornadoes here in Arkansas. You can still get them, obviously, but this time of year is very difficult because you just don't have everything in place yet. So you can see this real clearly on the Fort Smith radar compared to the Springfield's radar. That outflow boundary ahead of these storms are kind of moving through. So the Cedarville area, the Fort Smith area, it's going to get very breezy coming up within the next, I'd say, 25 to 30 minutes. That's going to be associated with these storms. Right now, I'm not really expecting any severe weather over here in Fort Smith or these areas over here in far western Arkansas. These storms are going to continue to move into Newton County and also the Searcy County, Marion County, and also Baxter County here. So the destructive tag has been replaced with the considerable damage tag here, guys. So what we're going to do for just a moment, I want to kind of recap a little bit, and then we're going to switch this back over to our YouTube continuous coverage. However, on Facebook, radar updates are going to continue all evening long, not evening now, all throughout the overnight hours and the first part of your Monday morning while these storms are still ongoing across the area here. Like I mentioned before, behind the storms, You've got some steady rainfall here, probably some embedded thunderstorms within this cluster coming in northwestern Arkansas. I wouldn't be shocked about that. Not really expecting any severe weather once this line of storms is cleared through. Let's see how far this rainfall actually gets, because I know outside of the severe threat, much of Arkansas needs some sort of rainfall. We've been dry for some time here, so we need a little bit of rainfall, not too much, because I mentioned before, we've got that heat wave coming up, but that's what we've got at this point here. So, Rich, if you do me a favor, if you give me an update on the power outage situation real quickly, brother, I appreciate it. But I mentioned before, this is what we've got. Kind of have a radar image of what we have at this point. Storms are now moving through the Harrison area. Harrison, it's probably loud. You've got wind gusts easily 65 to 70 miles per hour moving through. You've got storms moving into Newton County at this time here. Let's zoom this down, kind of give you guys a perspective. So Western Grove, they're coming in right now. Jasper, they're coming in. Mount Judah up here, they're coming in. Deer, they're going to be within your steps within the next, I'd say, 2 to 5 minutes. Also towards St. Joe, and also over towards the Marshall area. It's going to be coming in within the next 15 to 20 minutes here. So give them a heads up. I do realize the destructive tag has been dropped. It's gone to a considerable damage tag now, mainly for the potential of 70 mile per hour wind gusts with these storms. They're going to continue to weaken throughout the overnight hours. If they don't, then we will keep you updated. We're not planning on going anywhere during the overnight hours. We'll be here, keep you guys updated on the situation here, and we'll have the live stream up going until these storms have come to an end. But you can see, like I mentioned before, for those that are tuning in right now, wondering about any sort of tornado threat, the outflow boundary, take a look at your screen over here towards the West Fork area, over here in Crawford and Washington counties. That boundary right here that you are seeing is going to cancel out any sort of tornado threat with this line. I want to make that perfectly clear. I'm not expecting any sort of tornado threat with these storms tonight. I know everyone's going to wake up. First thing is midnight. You know, you got these storms coming in loud. They're going to think it's a tornado. We're not expecting any tornado development for tonight. I want to make that perfectly clear. But I am concerned about the potential high winds with these storms that they continue to allow towards the east and the southeast here. So Newton County, also towards Marion County, Baxter County, and also that's going to be Searcy County. These storms are going to be coming in within the next 20 to 30 minutes here at this point. Power outages are now up to 2,474. Majority are coming out of Benton County. That's going to be Carroll County and also Madison County over here in northwestern Arkansas. I'm fully expecting that number to kind of jump up a little bit as we progress into the overnight hours once energy is able to get out and kind of assess the situation here up here in northwestern Arkansas. Also, we do have that severe thunderstorm watch. It's going to go until 2 o'clock this morning. That's going to go for the following. See if we can get this up for you guys real quickly here. There's the severe thunderstorm watch. So it's going to go for Benton, Washington, Madison, Carroll, Boone, Newton, Pope County, POPE, Johnson, Van Buren, Searcy, Marion, Baxter, and also Stone counties over here. It's going to go until 2 o'clock this morning. Main potential is going to be for the potential of 70 mile per hour winds. I can't rule out some hail, but I think this is mainly a wind bag now, more than hail or any sort of tornado threat. And like I mentioned before, with that boundary kind of staying ahead of these storms and the storms staying behind the boundary, I'm not really expecting any sort of tornado threat as we progress into the overnight hours. Mainly concerned about the wind threat as it continues to go off towards the east and the southeast here. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if we can get this into central Arkansas. I really don't want the severe weather. I prefer the rainfall here. But right now we'll see the trajectory of these storms here. And I can take this off. Let's see if we can stop the radar for just a moment. Give me just 1 second. And we're going to stop the radar for just a moment. And you can see the trajectory of these storms are moving east-southeast here. So there's a line of storms right through here. They're going to be traveling in this general direction over here. So it's going to be attempting to move into central Arkansas here. But I think these storms are going to weaken before they make it into the Little Rock area here. And that's what I mentioned before. Thanks, Rich, for the update. Power outages are now up to 6,000 up there in northwestern Arkansas, and I kind of figure with energy getting out, kind of assessing the situation, the majority, as I mentioned before, is going to be in Boone County, where you had these 70 to 80 mile per hour winds move through. I'm not really surprised that number kind of jumped up, and it may go up even higher once energy gets out there, kind of assesses the situation and the damage here. We'll have the estimated time of the power coming back on, all that information on Facebook once this live stream is over with. So just kind of keep that in mind. I mentioned before, Searcy County, Marion County, also towards Baxter County, Stone County, Van Buren County, may try to sneak in northern Pope County and northern Johnson County. We'll have to wait and see. Like I mentioned before, these storms are going to continue to weaken throughout the overnight hours. I'm not really expecting this to be a widespread statewide event, mainly for our folks up here in northern and northwestern Arkansas. I will say this. We will have to keep an eye on next weekend, because what's going to end up happening is the heat ridge that's going to be over our heads this upcoming week is going to start to break down, move towards the west. So we will be kind of susceptible to kind of these events where you have these MCSs develop in Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri. They kind of make their way down into Arkansas here. So we'll watch that over this upcoming weekend and the next weekend here. But like I mentioned before, Newton County is getting loud right now. Searcy County is fixing to get loud. Marion County is already loud at this point, like I mentioned before. Considerable damage tag. I know it says destructive, but it's going to switch over in a little bit. Considerable damage tag with these storms here. There's your track of the storms at this point. Western Grove coming in, well, it's already past that area. So let's get you a new track over here. Give me just 1 second. Let's get your new track going on at this point. There's your line of storms moving through. I'm going to clock you at about, I'll go 45 miles per hour. Slow down just a little bit. But it's going to go for the Yellville area about 1240. Also towards the Lakeview area around 1247. Gadsville around 253. Mount Marshall and Mount Home right around at 1 o'clock in the morning time frame. The Dennard area right around 115. The Calico Rock area about 121. And then Clinton is going to be coming in right around at 1:30 in the morning time frame. We'll see. Like I mentioned before, these storms are going to continuously weaken as we get into the overnight hours. We're going to stay with these storms, obviously, until it does so. But you could tell as they were coming out of southwestern Missouri into northwestern Arkansas, how they went from destructive tag, 80-mile-per-hour winds plus, to now pushing 70. And they're going to continue to move into a more quote-unquote stable atmosphere as you get later and later into the overnight hours, which is pretty normal whenever you get into the overnight hours, early part of the morning, because that's your quote-unquote coolest part of the day before we get into the daytime hours. Now, we'll have to see. I will say this, because I know we probably do have a marginal risk in place for today. I will say if these storms do leave a boundary in place, we'll have to watch for additional storm development as we get towards this afternoon into this evening. We'll keep you guys updated on that here. But right now, this is what we've got. I said before, Summit's going to be coming around about 1240, which is pretty much a minute from now. Also, Lakeview coming in around 1247. Midway about 1250. The Gadsville area around 1253. The Mount Home area around 1 o'clock in the morning. And also Calico Rock and Clinton right around at 120 to 1:30 in the morning time frame here. So we're going to continue to kind of track these storms just for a little bit longer. Let me double check and make sure. I'm just kind of waiting to see what they're going to end up doing with the power outage number here, because it kind of jumped from that 2,000 range to that 6,000 range here. So I'm going to let these storms kind of clear through the Newton County area and the Searcy County area just for a little bit. Like I mentioned before, folks, even though we're not live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. YouTube is going to be our continuous live stream throughout the overnight hours, so you don't have to worry about missing any information or anything like that in terms of live radar. Also, we're going to have Facebook. We're going to have radar updates. We're going to have constant information throughout the overnight hours here, so you don't have to miss anything on the Facebook side of things as well. So, like I mentioned before, Mount Home, it's quiet right now. It's 12:40 in the morning. You're probably just kind of relaxing. Most people up here probably don't even know we were even expecting storms. This was, like I said before, kind of a last-second thing that's kind of typical with these what we call these MCSs that kind of develop. You never know if they're going to actually make it to Arkansas or they're going to die off before they get here. This one actually made it and actually produced 70 to 80 mile per hour winds across the board. So thank you, Rich, as always, for the reports. 3 miles southwest of Bergman, which is in Boone County. Public reports thunderstorm wind damage at 12:37, which is about 3 minutes ago. 3,500 power outages reported within the energy network in Boone County, which is the highest density power outages between Bergman and also the Harrison County, Harrison, Arkansas, which I'm not surprised of, because of the fact that these storms did produce 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. So I'm fully expecting these storms to continue to produce power outages as long as it continues to produce 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So my folks in Marshall, the Big Flat area, over towards Wet Springs, over towards Mount Home, the Calico Rock area, Mountain View, and Stone County, Van Buren County, Northern Pope County, POPE, and also northeastern Johnson County. Go ahead, if you're up, charge your phones, trying to get them up to up charge just as much as you can before these storms get here. And if you're near windows, especially if you're in the Searcy County area and also the Marion County and also the Baxter County area, go ahead and get away from those windows, get away from those exterior walls. Kind of move into the center part of your home. That could be a hallway, that could be a bathroom, somewhere away from the exterior walls, because 9 times out of 10, when you're dealing with 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, you can have trees come down, you can have trees go through the windows and stuff like that. So we want you guys to be safe. Don't ignore these severe thunderstorm warnings. Just because it's not a red polygon, you still got to treat these severe thunderstorm warnings with the same respect as you would with a tornado warning across the board. So like I said before, as always, thank you, Rich, for sending in those reports. We have over 6,000 power outages right now, the highest total coming out of the Boone County area and the Carroll County area up here in northwestern Arkansas. Power outages are going to continue. If you did lose your power, I'm assuming once these storms clear out, because what energy has to do is once these storms pass, you got to wait for this rain. You got to wait for this batch to clear out too, because they can't go up and restore your power when there's lightning and there's heavy rain and stuff like that. It's a safety hazard. So you got to wait for these storms to clear out. It'll probably be first thing tomorrow morning when they're able to get out and kind of assess the situation and start fixing the power. So I think probably for most places up here in northwestern Arkansas, it will probably be tomorrow afternoon before you get your lights back on. Maybe a little earlier. We'll have to wait and see how fast we can clear out things up here. But it'll probably first thing tomorrow afternoon when you get your lights back on, just depending on the damage extent up here in the Benton County area, the Carroll County, the Boone County, Marion, Newton County, and also Searcy and Madison County at this current time. And as you can see, over 300 lightning strikes per second. That is insane, guys. That is a lot of storm activity going on right now across the area here. So we're going to continue to monitor these storms, kind of waiting just a little bit longer. I know it's down to a considerable damage tag, but I'm going to wait just a little bit longer and see what ends up happening with these storms as they continue to move out towards the south and east here. And one thing I want to stress to you guys too as well, if anyone's kind of up at midnight, watching these storms coming in, kind of keeping up with us. Prepare for the upcoming week. I know we had a severe threat tonight and the first part of your Monday morning here, but temperatures this upcoming week, that Wednesday and Thursday time frame, we've got temperatures near 105 to 110 degrees. Guidance is trying to go a little higher than that. So if you're planning on working outdoors, you got any plans that Wednesday and Thursday time frame, around that 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon time frame, just kind of keep in mind that we will be dealing with temperatures 105 to 110. Those are surface temperatures, by the way, not heat index. And just kind of be prepared for that. Limit your time outdoors. Stock up on some water, preferably water. Gatorade is kind of but just kind of get ready for that as we get towards that Wednesday and that Thursday time frame here, guys. So what I'm going to do for just a moment, what I'm doing over here is I'm checking out the wind gust potential with these storms here. And I may have to switch this over to Springfield's radar, because like I mentioned before, first off, northern Arkansas, north central Arkansas, you guys really need a radar up here. I mean, bad. You need one in West Plains, bad. So right now, just kind of taking a look at these storms. These storms right now are producing about, I'm gonna say, radar estimating about 65 to 70 mile per hour winds, which is, you know, your considerable damage tag with these storms, and it's going to continue to move out towards the east and southeast. I did see that damage report. Thank you so much, Rich, for sending that in. Between the Harrison and the Bergman area, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more energy in the tree companies and all that are going to get out and kind of assess the situation. Looking at these winds right now, yeah, we've got 60, 65, upwards to 70 mile per hour winds kind of slamming their way through the Harrison area right now and kind of slamming their way through Newton County and the Searcy County here. So Marshall, you've got about 5 minutes. It's right on your doorstep. It's going to get loud. It's going to get windy. Get away from those windows. Get away from the exterior walls here as they continue to move out towards the southeast here. In Mountain View, the Clinton area, over towards Canical Rock. Keep an eye on these storms. They're going to be coming your way within the next 15 to 20 minutes as they continue to move out towards the south and east here. So let's go ahead and do this. Like I said before, there's tracking your storms. Mount Home is coming in at you probably within the next 13. That's going to be 13 minutes. 13 minutes coming into the Mountain Home area. Marshall, it's on top of you pretty much right now. It's going to be probably another next 5 to 10 minutes before you really start to experience the 60 to 70 mile per hour winds here, but it's practically right there. And also the Denton area right around at 1:15 time frame across the board here. So let's double check something real quickly here. Okay, so okay, we're good now. I'm not sure what that was about. But looks like we're good to go now. So, okay, we're good. Thank you so much for kind of letting me know about that at this time here. I'm not sure what that was here. So now, power outages are now up to 7,485. Majority of them are coming out of the Boone County area. We have Newton and also Searcy counties now coming in with power outages here. So those that are kind of away from the area, the Mountain View area, the Clinton area, the Van Buren, the Stone County area, get away from the windows, get your phones charged, kind of charge your phones as quickly as you can, kind of get them up as much as possible, because these storms that are coming in are going to be producing 70-mile-per-hour winds as it continues to move out towards the east and the southeast here. So let me see here. Look at a new track of these storms for just a moment here. I'm not sure why that was a glitch, but it looks like we've been taken care of now with that. So I'm going to move these storms at about 50 miles per hour here. I'm going to see if I can move this about right in here. Okay, so Lakeview is going to be coming in pretty much right now. Marshall, you have about 5 minutes, like I mentioned before. The Mountain View area around 126. I think it may be a little bit closer to that 115, 120 time frame. The Fairfield Bay area, around 130. Greers Ferry, that's going to be up there in Van Buren County. In Cleburne County, that's going to be around the 137 time frame. The Guy and Equipment area, it's going to be coming in. That is in northern Faulkner County, by the way. That's going to be coming in within the next hour to hour and 30 minutes if these storms can make it. I want to stress that right now, and I know folks in central Arkansas are kind of wondering if these storms are actually going to make it. We will see. Like I said before, we're talking another hour to 2 hours ahead of time. We'll have to see if this line of storms has enough power to push its way all the way through central Arkansas. We'll watch it. If it does, we will be here. We'll keep you guys updated on the latest on that. But right now, I do believe, like I said before, we do have power outages 7,485. These storms are now under the destructive tag, and we double check and make sure what we're going to do is we're going to wait until I will probably put about when this severe thunderstorm warning is done. So this is going to go until 1 a.m. It's moving southeast at 55 miles per hour. 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts with these storms here. This is a dangerous situation. These storms are producing widespread wind damage across northwest Arkansas. Seek shelter now inside of a sturdy building and stay away from windows here. So thunderstorm damage threat is considerable. Wind gusts upwards to 70 miles per hour with these storms as they continue to move on towards the east and the southeast here at about 60 miles per hour here. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind here. Let me see here, just double checking everything right now here. So let me see here. Looks like we're good. Okay, so all right. So like before, I'm looking at the other radar over here. About 65 to 70 mile per hour winds with these storms as they continue out towards the east southeast here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this warning expire at 1 o'clock. I'm pretty sure what they're gonna end up doing is putting another severe thunderstorm warning out for considerable damage. I'm gonna let this destructive tag kind of get off the screen, and then what we're gonna do is, like I said, YouTube, you're gonna have a live continuous stream for the rest of the evening. Now, that's not changing. Facebook, we're going to have radar updates. We're going to have all your information, power outages, and all the other stuff on there as well. So you don't have to worry about missing any information if you're on Facebook. And if I were you, if you have YouTube, you don't even have to make an account. But if you have YouTube, what I would do, go search up Arkansas Weather Watchers, have that live stream up on your TV. If you can, if you have one of those Roku or the Amazon Fire TVs, kind of put us up on your TV for the rest of tonight, and kind of monitor these storms as they continue to move out towards the southeast at about 60 miles per hour here. So just kind of monitor that close. If you have, like I said before, if you have that ability, go ahead and do it. It'll alert you of any alerts, and you can follow the radar with real time as well here. But if you're on Facebook, you won't be missing anything. You will have the same radar updates, the same information as you will be getting on YouTube as well here. Okay, so I said before, just kind of checking in with everything. Power outages 7,485. Severe thunderstorm watch goes until 2 a.m. I'm fairly certain if this line has the power to make it into central Arkansas, we may see an extension of that severe thunderstorm watch, probably going to closer to that 6 o'clock in the morning time frame, which will include portions of central Arkansas. We will have to wait and see. As a matter of fact, we're going to double check that real quick. So what we're going to do is we'll switch this over to our mesoscale discussions real quick, and we're going to see if there's any new mesoscale discussions out. And there's none at this moment. But we're going to watch that closely here. I think there'll probably be a new one that'll probably go out for portions of central Arkansas and portions of northeastern Arkansas within time. We'll have to wait and see if these storms can actually make it that far south and east here as we get towards late overnight hours tonight in the first part of your daybreak tomorrow morning here. So right now, like I mentioned before, we're just gonna wait for this warning to kind of get off the board here, and then we're gonna hop off Facebook, YouTube. You're gonna have live stream continuous coverage, as I mentioned before. If you have a Roku TV, etc., just get us up on your TV. We'll have that information for you guys throughout the overnight hours here. Okay, so right now, as I mentioned before, I'm not seeing anything else. Let me double check. Outside of that. Outside of the damage up there in northern Arkansas, which I'm pretty certain once emergency management is able to get out, or energy is able to get out, etc., power outages are probably going to skyrocket, and you're probably going to hear about a little bit more reports up here coming out of northwestern Arkansas at this time here. For those that are wondering, we're not expecting, one, no tornado threat. Absolutely no tornado threat. Do not worry tonight. Do not worry about any tornado threat across the board. I want to make that perfectly clear. We are not expecting any sort of tornado threat for tonight here, okay? So, my folks in Conway, thank you, Jimmy, for bringing this up. Folks in Conway County, this is going to be coming in within that 1:35 in the morning time frame here, okay? If you are in Conway, Arkansas, it's the city of Conway, it's probably going to be a little bit after that. It's probably coming in a little bit closer to 2 o'clock in the morning if these storms make it. Let me make this perfectly clear. That is, if these storms are making it to central Arkansas. I know a lot of people need the rainfall, etc. We have to wait and see if these storms are able to make it into central Arkansas or not. We had a storm earlier on. That storm kind of petered out as we moved south. We have this line of storms that's going to move through, so we'll see what ends up happening. If it does make it to central Arkansas, we'll let you guys know. But for Conway County, it's going to be around at 1:35 in the morning time frame, and in Conway, as in downtown Conway and Faulkner County, probably a little bit after the 2 o'clock in the morning time frame here. I can't extend the track out a little bit further than that because they'll start getting inaccurate, but we'll continue to watch it. Northern Conway County is going to be a little bit after that 1:25 and 1:30 in the morning time frame. We're at 1:35 in the morning time frame as well here. So we're going to continue to monitor this. Like I said before, these severe thunderstorms are going to continue to move out towards the southeast. We shall see. I know a lot of people in central Arkansas are probably like, okay, let's see if we can get these storms. Do I need to be aware? Right now, what I would do, like I mentioned before, if you have the availability to kind of get us up on YouTube, you can follow our YouTube live continuous coverage throughout the overnight hours. If we have storms moving through the area, we'll let you know. If you're willing to stay up throughout the overnight hours, we'll have radar updates on Facebook as well, so you don't have to worry about missing any information here at Arkansas Weather Watchers. But the biggest thing I want to stress is these storms are capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds. They will start to weaken as they continue to move out towards the southeast. This is not a case where it's in the middle of the afternoon, we have all that daytime heating, and these storms are going to continue to gradually strengthen. No, this is getting later into the overnight hours, first part of your Monday morning, the coolest part of the day, coolest part, I say in quotation marks. It's going to start to weaken these storms as they move to the south and east here. So let's see what happens. If they make it to central Arkansas, we will address it. If they don't, then we'll watch and see what ends up happening here. But this will not be the last time we have any sort of rainfall potential here in Arkansas. So what I'm going to do for just a moment here, let me see if I can get you guys the latest information on the severe thunderstorm watch. That's going to go until 2 o'clock in the morning. I do believe if this line of storms actually makes it, they'll probably end up extending that severe thunderstorm watch to include portions of central Arkansas. There's the latest information on the track and the timing if you need that, if you're tuning in on the live stream. Marshall coming in, very strong winds moving in across the board, which I expected. 70-mile-per-hour winds moving into Marshall right now. Fully anticipating probably some power outages with these storms. Stay away from windows, stay away from the exterior walls. Have to keep an eye on that throughout the overnight hours here. But the severe thunderstorm watch is going to go until 2 o'clock in the morning. I think they'll likely extend it. I'm going to wait and see if we get anything from the Storm Prediction Center, and then we double check and see if we have any mesoscale discussions out or anything like that. I don't think we do right now. The latest day one, actually we do have a new mesoscale discussion out that's going to go for much of Arkansas here. So let's talk about that here. Okay, so there's a new mesoscale discussion out. Let's see here, strong winds expected. They'll likely end up producing a new severe thunderstorm watch out. So, the latest high resolution radar from Little Rock shows a well-developed Boeing MCS across Arkansas, Missouri state line. This MCS is supported by a shortwave trough embedded within a northwest flow regime, which I showed you guys earlier. If evident on the water vapor imagery, this MCS will continue to move to the southeast at about 15 knots, which is about 55 to 60 miles per hour, along the northeastern edge of a corridor of moderate to strong instability. Already RAP is indicating upwards to 2,000 to 3,000 here. In addition, this MCS is moving into mid to upper 70 dew points. The environment should support a wind damage threat that will likely continue along the leading edge of the Boeing line segment. This wind damage is expected to develop across central and eastern Arkansas and may affect portions of northwestern Arkansas here. So what they'll probably end up doing, like I mentioned before, a new weather watch will be needed soon ahead of the existing watch. So we are fully expecting a brand new severe thunderstorm watch to income for much of central Arkansas and probably eastern Arkansas. To kind of answer everyone's questions about this coming into central Arkansas, the probability of it coming in is probably going to be a yes. I think it's probably going to include the Heber Springs area, the Searcy area, Greenbrier, Conway, Jacksonville, over towards I-40 over here. We'll see if it makes it into downtown Little Rock. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with that. But we're going to continue to monitor these storms throughout the overnight hours here, okay? So they're moving southeast at about 50 miles per hour. I'm going to see if I can zoom this out, kind of give you guys a perspective of what's going on. So there it is, moving southeast 50 miles per hour. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning, mainly going for 60 mile per hour winds now. So the destructive tag is gone. We're going to continue to monitor these storms very, very closely here, and we'll draw a track. We'll get all this information off the screen for you guys so you guys get a perspective on what's going on. There's a line of storms right through here, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw a track. Give me just 1 second here. See if you can catch up with me. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right. So there's a line of storms. We're going to continue to monitor it. I'm going to plot this at about, I'll go 55 miles per hour here to the southeast. So there's going to be the track. Dover right around at 111 time frame. Russellville is going to be knocking on your door around 120 if these storms continue to move out towards the southeast. Also, the Darnell area around 124. The Greenbrier area around 140. Also, the Heber Springs area around 140. Conway, for those that are wondering, I don't know if we had some questions asking about either downtown Conway or Conway County. That's going to be around 147. And also the Mayflower and Avalonia area right around at 155-ish time frame here. So we're going to continue to monitor it, like I mentioned before. There's new severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to go from Madison County until 1 o'clock this morning. So we'll continue to monitor the situation closely, guys. That severe thunderstorm warning updated destructive tag has been allowed to drop and is now a base severe thunderstorm warning, 60 mile per hour winds. Don't ignore it. Still get away from the windows. Still make sure you charge your phones. This line has an extensive history of wind damage in terms of tree damage and stuff like that. We even had some injuries up there in southwestern Missouri, and also the potential widespread power outages at this time here. So we now have power outages. Can't give you one check now. 9,869 customers without power at this current time here, guys. So, before we're going to continue to monitor it. That severe thunderstorm warning is gone. We're now down to one base severe thunderstorm warning, mainly for 60 mile per hour winds on the leading edge of this Boeing Echo moving through the state at this current time. We'll keep you guys updated. Like I mentioned before, YouTube, stay with us throughout the rest of your overnight hours. We're going to have that up throughout the rest of the overnight hours. Facebook, we're going to have radar updates throughout the overnight hours so you're not missing anything. And we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here in your source for all things Arkansas weather.